Hey, my name is Steve Schwartz. I run the LSAT blog. I also host the LSAT Unplugged YouTube channel and podcast. As Angie said, I've been teaching the LSAT for quite a while now, since 2005, actually. I got into this back when I was on my own LSAT and law school admissions journey as a pre-law. It took me an entire year, but I ended up getting a 175 after a lot of struggle along the way. Started teaching the exam shortly afterwards. Never ended up applying to law school because I really just got so fascinated with this exam and so obsessed with it. It's so complex. I have so much respect for the people who make it and in just the level of complexity and detail in those exam questions. It's truly remarkable. And so I've been teaching the exam ever since. In 2008, and never ended up applying to law school myself. In 2008, I started the LSAT blog, where I've since posted well over 1,000 articles on everything LSAT and law school admissions. Then a couple of years ago, I got really into video. So I created the LSAT Unplugged YouTube channel, as well as the LSAT Unplugged podcast, where I'm releasing new episodes daily, if not multiple times a day, on everything LSAT and law school admissions. Last year, I spent a lot of time covering the recent changes from the LSAT being paper to digital. And now with the COVID-19 pandemic, the LSAT has moved online. So it's now in online digital format rather than a tablet, as with the digital. It's now on your computer with the Flex. So I put some resources in the chat here all about the Flex, an LSAT Flex FAQ, an LSAT Flex playlist, as well as an easy LSAT cheat sheet PDF download, plus my link tree where I've got links to a wide variety of LSAT resources. Now, I suppose I could answer a couple of general FAQ I get often about the Flex. What is it? Is it easier? Is it harder? How does it work? How should you prep differently? And feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I'll do what I can to work them into this conversation as well. So the Flex is different in nature. Although the content of the exam has not changed at all, the format is different. So you've still got games, reasoning, reading comp. Everything is of equal difficulty. There's one logical reasoning section on the Flex, though, rather than two. So people will ask me, how does that change things? Is that LR section harder? Good news is no, it's not harder in any way. It's the same difficulty as any other logical reasoning section. But the weighting of the sections has changed. Used to be that logical reasoning was half the exam, or 2 out of 4 sections. Now it's only 1 out of 3 sections, because the exam now has only one section of each of games, reasoning, reading comp. Meaning that logical reasoning has diminished in importance just a little bit, since every question is weighted the same, and now reading comp with the most questions is actually now the most difficult section of the exam. Now, we've had a few LSAT Flex administrations already. It was administered in May, June, July, and now the end of this month in August, it will be Flex once again. I expect that any day now, and probably just after we get off this call, LSAC will announce sometime very soon that the October LSAT will in fact be a Flex, as we're all highly expecting it to be. And so if you're taking the LSAT pretty much anytime in 2020, chances are you'll be taking a Flex. And so that means you want to prep accordingly. 3 sections, not 5, meaning there's no second logical reasoning section and there's no unscored experimental section. So 3 sections, endurance matters less, but each question matters more. And if you're not super comfortable in reading comprehension, you might want to spend a little bit of extra time there, just because reading comprehension now is, of course, weighed a bit more heavily than it otherwise would be. You also want to do your practice tests in the Flex format. And Lsac has put together a software program called Law Hub, a subscription service where for $99 a year, you get over 60 exams in the digital/LSAT Flex format, the same exact software, meaning there's a highlighting function, underlining, you can increase or decrease the text size, the line spacing, all of that you can adjust, which is cool. So you want to get used to that. And they have the vast majority of exams on that Law Hub subscription service platform. Now, if you're here for this call today, you're probably taking the LSAT sometime soon, and it's on your horizon. So a couple things you should know going forward. Starting with the August LSAT Flex, there are some new LSAC policy changes. First off, there's a new score preview option going forward, meaning that for first-time test takers only, you can see your score before deciding whether to cancel. But that's for first-time test takers only, meaning if you have ever sat for the exam before, even if you canceled your score, you're not a first-time test taker. But if you are first-time, you get to see it before deciding whether to cancel, which in reality isn't a huge deal because law schools, with very few exceptions, do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only take the highest score, meaning there's always a reason to retake. And you should not necessarily cancel your score because even if it's lower, no big deal. And if it ends up being higher than you hoped or expected, well, that's fantastic because now you've got a higher score on record. There is a fee for this service. It's $45 if you sign up for it and pay for it prior to your LSAT, and it's $75 if you decide later. And so I'm not really sure why they need to charge such high fees. I wish they wouldn't, but it is what it is. It's well worth that investment if it gives you even the slightest peace of mind. Also, starting with the August LSAT-Flex, there is a new writing sample requirement, meaning you must complete the writing sample before they will release your score. If you don't complete the writing sample, you're not getting your score back, so don't delay, don't forget. And starting with August, you can actually complete it prior to the LSAT itself, meaning up to 8 days prior, you can go online and get it out of the way. Might not be your top priority because after all, it's not score compared to the actual LSAT, but you may want to do it as a break, or just 3 days or so after the exam, you could do it then too, totally fine. I wouldn't wait that much longer because you don't want to forget or for it to potentially delay your score. And so I wouldn't be doing it 7 a.m. the morning scores are released when scores come out at 9 a.m. because they might not process it or update their systems in time. But those are a couple of policy changes to be aware of. The last one I'll add is retake limits. There are new LSAT retake limits reinstated. For a couple of years, there weren't any retake limits at all, period, meaning you could take it an unlimited number of times. Then they instituted new ones last year, meaning 3 times in one testing year, testing cycles running from June to May of the following year, 5 times in 5 years, 7 times for life. And if you get a 180, you can't take it again, as long as you have a current score on record. Now, they removed those limits for the LSAT Flex administrations up to this point. So the May, June, July, and August LSAT Flex tests, those do not count towards retake limits. But starting with October, whether it's a flex or not, retake limits are reinstated. These don't affect that many people, but they're still good to be aware of. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.